I'm Elisa, knitter and yoga teacher. In this short practice, we will explore the overlap between mindfulness and knitting through some very simple techniques that can be used to reap maximum benefits from your knitting in terms of the relaxation and the well-being that knitting naturally produces. Let's begin finding a comfortable position in which we can knit. If you've chosen to sit, make sure that your back is nicely supported, especially in the bottom part. As you exhale, pull the navel in towards the spine and tuck your chin towards your chest to bring your neck long. Relax your shoulders down and away from your ears. Roll them back a couple of times if you need to. You can close your eyes for a moment and take a couple of deep breaths to prepare for practicing. Let's take now our knitting into our hands as if to start working on it. But let's stop for a second to feel the needles in our hands, the weight of our knitting, the material of the needles, the very tip of the needles. Observe the positions of your hands. Have you ever observed it before? Do you know how you hold your needles? And now that you have looked at your hands with your eyes, look at them with your mind, so from within, so to speak. Visualize your hands. Take now the yarn into your hands. How do you hold it? In which hand? And have you always held it like this? Do you always hold it like this, or do you switch from one hand to the other maybe? Focus on the feeling of the yarn in your hands, between your fingers. Is it soft? Is it nice to the touch? Is it a chunky yarn? Does it glide easily on the needles and between your fingers? Does it produce a satisfactory fabric, a fabric that you like? Once you have answered these questions and any others that have surfaced into your mind, you can start knitting. As you knit at your natural rhythm, you will count stitches. Counting is a good way to keep the mind busy, therefore a classic meditation exercise. Simply count your stitches as you go. I will be silent for a minute or so to let you practice this. Have you noticed that while counting you got distracted? Have you lost count at some point, or have you continued counting in the background while you were actually thinking of something else? If it happens, don't worry at all. It happens to most people, and it happens all the time while we are knitting. We lose track of where we are in the pattern, if the pattern doesn't require our full attention, and sometimes even when it does. Do you remember a specific case when this happened in your own knitting experience? Do you remember how you reacted? How would you name the emotion you felt? We will now repeat the counting exercise, bringing more attention to the process. You will start counting stitches from 1, and whenever a thought comes up in your mind, you will go back to 1 and start again whatever number you got to. Don't worry if you can't count to a high number. Just be alert to what goes on inside your head and be honest with yourself. I will be silent again for a minute or so to let you practice this. How far did you get in your counting? Make a mental note of this. You will use it to compare after our next exercise. We will now focus our attention even more on the counting process, counting stitches in batches of 5. In other words, count from 1 to 5 with the first 5 stitches, and then again 1 to 5 with the next 5 stitches, and so on until you hear my voice again. I am back with you to ask if having a set number to get to made it easier to focus. If you didn't find it easier, you don't need to worry about it. As long as you are learning something about your mental process, you have done something good. Now let's put down our work, our knitting, and notice the difference in the feelings and sensations. The hands are not moving anymore, and they are not holding the needles anymore. They can relax. Spread your fingers as wide as you can. Then relax them and place your hands in your lap. Close your eyes and take a few deep breaths, inflating the chest and the belly. You will reopen the eyes when you feel ready for it. You have all the time that you need.